Discover the heartwarming moment: a little girl invited a lonely CEO into her family. An incredible story of kindness. In the small Midwestern town of Maplewood, where cracked sidewalks and boarded-up shops whispered tales of better days, a 10-year-old girl named Lucy burst like sunlight through dark clouds. With her wild, curly brown hair bouncing as she ran, and a laugh that could rouse even the grumpiest of neighbors, Lucy thrived on the belief that a little kindness could spark immense change. Next door lived Mr. Thompson, a man once dominant in the boardroom, now a shadow behind his hedge. Lucy had seen him hunched over, mowing his overgrown lawn with an air of defeat, his eyes reflecting a deep-seated loneliness. She knew his story. The whispers in town told of his fall from grace, the shame that hung about him, a thick fog of judgment. Yet, deep down, Lucy always believed there was more to a person than just their failures. As her own family faced an uphill battle with mounting bills and a dwindling pantry, Lucy observed the world around her. It wasn't just her family's suffering, their neighbors were too. Thoughts swirled in her head. Isolation only amplified pain. It struck her like a lightning bolt: everyone, even Mr. Thompson, deserved a second chance. Ignoring disapproving hisses from her parents and other townsfolk, Lucy bravely knocked on Mr. Thompson's door one afternoon, her heart thumping like a drum. "Mr. Thompson. Would you come over for dinner tonight? My mom's making spaghetti," she declared with unabashed joy. The surprise on his face was palpable, and that very moment felt like magic. A spark seemed to flicker in Mr. Thompson's tired eyes, but Lucy's parents weren't impressed. Dinner came with tension wrapping around the table like a snake, her father's shoulders rigid as he watched their guest with wary eyes. "Why would we invite him into our home?" Lucy's father muttered under his breath, an echo of sentiment with which she begrudgingly agreed. Yet, she refused to let the doubt fester. When Mr. Thompson, his voice quaking, offered to help her family financially, her father bristled. "Help? No thanks. We don't need any charity," he retorted, causing a fragile silence to fall upon the table. How could they ignore that here was someone who understood their struggles? Confusion churned in Lucy's heart. Wasn't this what kindness was about? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Undeterred, Lucy determined to weave a thread of connection through the tapestry of her struggling town. She envisioned a weekend community fair, chock full of laughter, art, and togetherness. "If we come together," she told everyone, "we can heal." Excitement bubbled, yet anxiety churned within her. Her father's pride and disdain loomed like a dark cloud over her plan. When the fair day finally arrived, cynicism hung thick in the air, but as Lucy watched Mr. Thompson's hands guide the younger kids in crafts, something miraculous began to unfold. Gradually, community members began to see him not as a failure, but as a good man. Suddenly, a voice from the crowd challenged Mr. Thompson's involvement, a question that cracked her dreams. Lucy's heart raced as she stood on the edge of this transformative moment, uncertain if her hope could silence the doubts of her neighbors. Could her small act of kindness really alter lives? The sun hung low in the sky as Lucy adjusted her colorful apron, the smell of popcorn and hot dogs wafting through the fairground. The laughter of children echoed around her, mixing with the distant sound of a guitar being strummed. She felt a rush of excitement, but the nagging voice of doubt from her father echoed in her mind. Could the power of kindness really rally a community? Mr. Thompson stood nearby, carefully painting the faces of eager kids with bright colors. She watched as a little girl squealed with laughter, her cheeks adorned with a rainbow butterfly. Lucy thought back to the man she had first met, the one who couldn't see joy even in life's simplest moments. It felt as if a different man stood there now, one filled with purpose and warmth, but just as the day seemed to flow smoothly, a shout broke through the cheer. "Why is he here? He doesn't belong. A familiar voice of a neighbor pierced the atmosphere, and a collective murmur rippled through the fairgoers. Lucy's heart sank. It was Mrs. Baker, the town gossip, always quick to criticize. How can you trust a man who lost everything? She challenged, her arms crossed defiantly. He'll just take from us again. Lucy's mind raced. How could one voice, fueled by prejudice, threaten everything they were building? She stood frozen at the edge of the makeshift stage, feeling exposed and small as she dug her fingernails into the palm of her hand. The vibrant world around her dimmed, and for a heartbeat, doubt swirled like a storm cloud in her chest, but just then, Mr. Thompson turned his gaze towards her, and in that moment, something inside Lucy snapped. She stepped forward, drawing in a deep breath. Everyone makes mistakes. Lucy shouted, her voice quaking but determined. Look at what he's doing. He's helping us. Mrs. Baker's eyes narrowed. How can you trust someone who's lost it all? She repeated, her tone dripped with disdain. He helped me. Lucy countered, her eyes shining with tears of frustration. He's real. Everyone deserves a chance. The words flowed, she felt a fire ignite within. This fair is about kindness, about bringing us together. He's done so much for us, and you're just pushing him away. Why can't you see? A heavy silence enveloped the crowd. Lucy glanced around, noticing the hesitant faces, unsure of where to place their loyalty. Mr. Thompson's expression shifted, it was a blend of gratitude and awe. She reached for his hand as her heart raced, hoping her small gesture could bridge the unyielding gap in the crowd. At that moment, the energy of the fair shifted. Whispered conversations erupted, and uncertainty began to crack. Some townsfolk approached Mr. Thompson with cautious smiles, extending their hands, tentatively open to a chance for connection. But, just when Lucy thought victory was at hand, a loud voice emerged from the back. Open your eyes. He's just pretending to be nice. We don't owe him anything. A man stepped forward, his stance aggressive, pointing an accusing finger at Mr. Thompson. Lucy's breath caught, panic sweeping through her. Could this one voice overshadow all the progress they had made? Would her belief in kindness be overpowered by fear and bitterness? Glimmers of defiance flickered within her, she felt the weight of every hopeful heart in the crowd. As she stood there clutching Mr. Thompson's hand, she wondered, could a little girl truly change the hearts of a town? Could kindness be enough to silence the storm brewing beyond her? More voices challenged the air around them, each one echoing doubt or support, and Lucy braced herself for the unpredictable wave of emotions that awaited her. This was just the beginning, change was so close, yet so far. Would she have the courage to face the tide of resistance, to champion hope against despair? The crowd vibrated with tension, and Lucy prepared herself for the battle ahead, knowing that every moment counted. The air crackled with tension as Lucy stood her ground. The harsh words from the man echoed, bouncing off the stands, and the laughter of children, transforming the joyful atmosphere into something heavy and thick. She could see the unease in the faces of the crowd, some furrowed brows, others murmuring amongst themselves, searching for answers in the sea of confusion. Why should we believe him? Someone shouted, eyes darting back to Mrs. Baker for support. We don't need his kind here. Lucy's heart raced. She felt the weight of every gaze on her, waiting for her to say something, do something. Mr. Thompson remained steady beside her, his presence a silent affirmation that they were in this together. Because change doesn't happen from fear. She replied, voice rising above the murmurs. It happens when we open our hearts. The man scoffed, but Lucy pressed on. You think kindness is a weakness? It's not. It's what binds us together as a community. And we're stronger when we embrace each other instead of tearing each other apart. The crowd fell silent, taken aback by the fire in her words. They could see her passion, the way she clenched Mr. Thompson's hand tightly, as if drawing strength. A young boy near the front, looking eager and bright, whispered, "She's right." The soft affirmation rippled through the crowd, a small light in the darkness, but Mrs. Baker wouldn't have it. You think that just because you're a child, you can change everything? She retorted, her tone sharp and skeptical. Yes. Lucy shot back, her confidence swaying, yet unyielding. You don't have to be an adult to understand that people deserve a second chance. Just like you, Mrs. Baker. Remember when you lost your job? How did it feel to need help? Didn't someone step forward for you? Gasps spread among the audience. Those who knew Mrs. Baker's story recalled the hardships she faced a few years back. Her hard-shelled exterior began to crack, just like the tension around them. That's different. She faltered, eyes narrowing as she shifted uncomfortably. But there was a tremor in her voice, revealing a glimmer of doubt. Is it different? Lucy asked gently, her voice softening. We've all struggled. That's what makes us human. Mr. Thompson is here to give back, to rebuild what he lost. Just like all of us. Isn't that what this fair stands for? The wave of uncertainty rippled again, this time with more urgency. A few townsfolk began nodding, and their doubting glances toward Mr. Thompson started to fade. Lucy saw the moment shift, and hope surged within her. Then a courageous woman stepped forward from the crowd, her face alight with determination. You know, I felt that same fear when I first lost my business, she admitted, glancing around. But I found a new family among those who offered support. Each of us can choose kindness over suspicion. Lucy's heart soared. In that instant, the crowd began to awaken. Voices blended together, turning from doubt to a unified call for compassion, but just as Lucy felt the tide turning in her favor, she spotted a shadow moving in the crowd, a tall figure she recognized from afar, his face twisted with anger. It was the man who had first challenged Mr. Thompson. She felt a shiver run down her spine. What if he wasn't done yet? Enough of this. He shouted, pushing through the crowd, eyes locked on Lucy and the vulnerable moment unfolding. You think you can sway us with your idealism? You're just a girl. That single comment sliced through her confidence, but as she steadied herself for what was coming, she realized something: the truth was worth fighting for, no matter the age. And so, with resolve simmering beneath her skin, she prepared to stand tall once more. But would her courage and determination be enough to meet the furious objection ahead? The crowd held its breath as the confrontation built toward a fever pitch, leaving Lucy bracing for the next unraveling moment. Your dreams of a happy community won't change the truth. The man spat, stepping closer, his eyes burning with fury. People like him don't belong here. Do you think he can just waltz in and steal our jobs? Our children's futures? Lucy felt her breath hitch in her throat. The relentless weight of his words pressed down on her, but she couldn't let fear claim the moment. She took a deep breath, allowing anger to turn into fuel. He's not here to steal anything. She countered, voice steady though her heart raced. He's here to build, to support, and to show us what it means to be a part of something bigger. The man laughed harshly. You really think that's enough? You're just a child playing dress-up in a world you don't understand. Am I? Lucy's defiance surged, igniting hope like a spark in the dark. Then why are you so afraid of me? Afraid of him? She gestured at Mr. Thompson, who stood patiently, a quiet strength radiating from his very presence. As the crowd shifted, some faces were bright with encouragement while others remained stubborn, clinging to their fears. A little girl, not more than 6, stood holding onto her mother's hand, her innocent eyes wide. What's wrong with helping? She whispered to her mother. That simple clarity cut through the tension, generating a ripple of hesitation in the crowd. The man narrowed his eyes, seemingly taken aback. This isn't a fairy tale. This is our reality. He barked, but there was falter in his voice now, uncertainty shivering through the anger. Lucy saw her opening. Reality can change if we choose to change it. If we want kindness over fear, if we want community over division, we can create something new. Can't you remember a time when someone helped you? When you needed a break? When all it took was one person to make you feel less alone? Faces around her softened as memories washed over them, the warmth of kindness, the rise of hope when they felt lost. Even Mrs. Baker looked lost in thought. Lucy pressed on, her voice rising like a wave. Imagine what we could do together. No one is alone, not really, if we stand together. Murmurs erupted, shifting the crowd's energy, igniting a flicker of belief. Yet, the angry man persisted, desperate to hold on to his fear. You think your words can change anything? Words can ignite change, but it's actions that seal it, Lucy replied, her heart pounding, ready to delve deeper. What is your plan? To keep us apart? To bury the good in each other? Or to expand our hearts? To show that love doesn't run out? With every challenge she posed, she felt the grip of anxiety slip away, replaced by the surge of community she craved all along. The crowd slowly became a chorus of support, and Lucy could see Mrs. Baker's brow furrowing in thought, but as Lucy stood confidently, hoping to break down the barriers, a loud crash broke through the moment. A child had bumped into a table, sending colorful fair trinkets spilling everywhere. The tension fell momentarily away as laughter erupted, breaking the anger. See? Lucy grinned, heart lifting. We can be playful. We can be kind. We can be a family. The man turned, facing the laughter that had bloomed in the chaos, his anger sputtering against the innocent joy surrounding him. For the first time, doubt flickered across his face, but just as hope surged again, Lucy saw his jaw clench, a new look of determination settling over him. This isn't over, he said, stepping back, his words laden with threats unspoken, hinting at a storm brewing just beneath the surface. As the laughter faded, Lucy understood the battle wasn't just about words, it was about overcoming fear with every heartbeat. And determined to embrace whatever came next, she braced herself for the doubt still lurking in the audience, hoping she could carry their collective strength into the fight ahead. How would she face him again? What would it take to truly unite her community? As the crowd slowly simmered down, the question lingered in the air, thick with possibility and uncertainty. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a warm glow over the crowd. Tension still crackled in the air like static electricity. Lucy felt the pulse of possibility beneath the chatter of the people around her. She could sense the shift. Wasn't it a relief? Perhaps fear could give way to something brighter. She focused on the little girl still holding her mother's hand, her eyes wide and shimmering with curiosity. Why don't we all just be friends? The child's innocent suggestion twinkled like a star in a dark sky. Lucy smiled, touched by the candor. Yes. What is stopping us? She called out. If everyone here reached out, think of the stories we could share, the laughter we could create. The artist in her sought to paint a vivid picture, a blend of smiles and hearts open wide. But the angry man stepped closer again, his silhouette shadowing her light. You think it's that simple? What if your friends betray you? His voice lowered, edged with disdain. Do you really expect that people will change overnight? People can change, Lucy insisted, unwavering. Change starts with one action, one choice, one connection. What about the first step? Don't we all want to feel less alone? Alone? He echoed, eyes narrowing. You think I'm alone? His voice erupted, causing heads to turn. I'm just protecting my own. And in an odd twist, Lucy felt a tug of understanding for him. She thought of Mr. Thompson, who stood silently by, his presence a reminder of strength through calmness. Sometimes, she ventured, seeking strength in isolation only makes you feel more alone. Maybe you're missing out on the support that's just waiting for you to open up. Her words felt right, a gentle breeze nudging at the edges of his hardened exterior. The man stilled, his guard faltering a fraction as murmurs of agreement spread through the crowd. Before Lucy could speak again, Mr. Thompson took a step forward, his voice deep yet tender. I know what it feels like to struggle. I've been there, caught in the storm. But when I found community, everything changed. It wasn't just me anymore. Gasps rippled through the audience. They turned their eyes to him, waiting for more, hoping for transformation. Let us build bridges instead of walls. Join me in this journey. Let kindness be our guide. Lucy saw his sincerity, how it softened the sharp edges of fear in others. The crowd began to nod, their hearts thawing. She sensed the angry man grappling with something inside him, uncertainty battling the familiar weight of his own convictions, but then another voice, a familiar one, called from the back. What happens when kindness is lost? What do you do then? It was an older man, his face drawn with lines of past battles. That question hung heavy in the air. Lucy felt her heartbeat quicken. We learn. We keep trying. We lean on each other. There will always be hard days, but if we stand together, her voice cracked with fervor. We make it through. And then the unexpected happened. A call rang out among the crowd, a mix of laughter and agreement. A wave of support surged, washing over doubt. Lucy's heart soared, carrying the energy of the moment like a lifeboat through a storm. But as the crowd came alive, Lucy spied the man's expression morph back into something darker. The moment he began to speak again, the crowd fell silent, holding their breath. You think I'm afraid to fight for what I believe in? Lucy swallowed hard, dread creeping in. No, she said softly, shifting her stance. But is fear truly what you want to lead with? Because I believe there's a way for everyone. The atmosphere tightened, a palpable tension, as she awaited his answer. Would he embrace the family blossoming in front of him or tear it apart? What choice would he make, and how would it influence the fragile hope that had begun to bloom? The air hung thick with hope, a fragile warmth battling against the sharp gusts of doubt still whirling around the angry man. Lucy locked eyes with him, willing him to see. To truly see, beneath the bark and the bared teeth. I'm not here to fight, he said, but there was a tremor in his voice that felt alien against the fierceness he had displayed. It was almost as if a part of him longed for connection, for acceptance. Then why don't we start by talking? She offered softly. Tell us what you're afraid of. The crowd leaned in, curiosity replacing the fear. At that moment, the little girl tugged at her mother's hand, a silent beacon of innocence. I just want everyone to be nice, she said, her voice ringing like a bell. Can't we be nice? It was the simplest question, but it struck deep. Her pure honesty pierced the tension like a sunlight streak cutting through dark clouds. I don't want to be nice, the angry man spat, but the bravado was starting to crumble. Nice gets you nowhere. It's a world of wolves. Several murmurs raced through the sea of bodies, but they were less whispers of fear and more questions. Did he truly believe that? Maybe it's not wolves, Lucy countered, stepping forward. Maybe you've only found the wolves because that's where you've looked. What if the world has more to offer? In that moment, she pictured a canvas splashed with vivid colors, a hopeful world bursting with laughter and support. Mr. Thompson nodded, his expression one of understanding. The world can be fierce, yes. But if we close ourselves off, we miss the beauty. We miss the chance to be surprised by kindness. The angered man hesitated, the muscles in his jaw tensed. And if I get hurt? If it all falls apart? In reply, Lucy took a small step closer. If you open up, you might get hurt. But you might also find joy. Community love. Isn't it worth the risk? His gaze faltered, flickering between uncertainty and the longings that had been buried deep. The crowd was no longer just an audience, they were a community, breathing together, resonating with shared hopes. Then, the little girl spoke again, her voice higher, sweet and unwavering. I think we should all hug. She raised her arms, invitingly. A chuckle erupted from the older man who had posed the question about kindness. You know, that's not a bad idea. As laughter rippled through the audience, Lucy felt a shift, a momentary release of tension. Slowly, people began to gather around, creating a circle of tentative connection. They looked towards the angry man, their eyes imploring, waiting for him to join. That he glanced around, and for the first time, vulnerability washed over him. Could he really do it? Lucy felt her breath hitch, her heart racing. This could be the moment of truth. She believed he held the power to change everything for himself, for them all. Just one step, Lucy whispered into the stillness. You're not alone. As the first few people stepped into the makeshift circle, they reached out cautiously, holding hands and smiling, inviting him in. Would he take the plunge, or would he retreat into the shadows he had known for so long? Time felt suspended, every heart pounding in anticipation. And she waited, praying. What choice would he make at this critical juncture, teetering on the edge between connection and isolation? The crowd held its breath, a collective heartbeat echoing their hopes. Would he walk towards them, or away? He looked around the circle of faces, each one reflecting a flicker of hope, and felt the weight of their eyes on him. There was something disarming about their vulnerability, their willingness to reach out. It was foreign and yet, strangely familiar. A part of him hungered for it, even if he didn't know how to admit it. His breath quickened, heart racing like a trapped bird in his chest. With every second that passed, the voices of doubt grew quieter, replaced by a strange pulse of possibility. The little girl, her arms still outstretched, beamed at him with a smile bright enough to dispel shadows. He couldn't get over that simple act, this innocent call for togetherness piercing his defenses. For a moment, he wavered. Nobody truly believed he could take that step, did they? But Lucy's gaze anchored him. It was full of sincerity, a kind of strength he hadn't seen in a long time. It urged him to ask himself, when was the last time he'd allowed someone to truly reach him? The voices were back, this time rising up in unison. Just take one step. A shiver ran down his spine. Could he risk it? Was it worth stepping into the unknown, the heart of something he had long dismissed as weakness? The decision hung heavier than the cool air around them. Lucy glanced to the crowd and then back to him, her expression shifting from hope to gentle determination. You won't know unless you try. We've all felt alone before, it's how we choose to respond that defines us. He clenched his fists, feeling the tension flutter through his veins. What if I'm a wolf? What if I bite? The challenge echoed in his words, but the urgency in his heart crossed wires with his defenses. Wolves can be kind too, the little girl piped up, her innocent tone cutting through the darkness that had gripped him for too long. Besides, we can teach you how to be nice. A flicker of a smile danced at the corners of his mouth at her declaration. Teaching him how to be nice. It was absurd and yet achingly real. He scanned the faces of the crowd, the shared belief in community flickering in their eyes like candles. Against his better judgment, he took a hesitant step forward. The small shift felt monumental. The crowd collectively let out a breath they had been holding, and the little girl's face split into an even broader smile, as if she had just won a small battle. Encouraged, he took another step. The world outside this circle felt far away, almost forgotten. Each stride inched him closer to a space of comfort he had never allowed himself to desire. Every breath felt lighter as he reached out to take one of the hands extended toward him. As he connected with the warmth of their grip, he marveled at the strength of those intertwined fingers. It was a simple gesture, but it felt monumental. The laughter and soft murmurs swelled around them, a cocoon of kindness wrapping tightly against the edge of his heart, which threatened to burst with something he hadn't allowed himself to feel in ages. Hope. Then, it happened. The moment of truth arrived, and he found himself drawing the final steps into the center of the circle. He was enveloped in an embrace as more and more people stepped into his space, wrapping him in love and warmth, but just as he began to feel the full weight of connection, a sudden commotion erupted on the outskirts. An angry shout sliced through the air, a jarring reminder of the world outside their fragile bubble. What is going on? Lucy's voice was sharp as she pulled back from the embrace, scanning the crowd. The air turned thick again, pooling with a different kind of tension. He could feel hearts thumping around him. What now? Would the kindness they had just created withstand this new storm? The shouting grew louder, raw and unfiltered, cutting through the warmth like a knife. Pushed by the sharp noise, he instinctively backed away, his breath hitching slightly. The once gentle atmosphere became electric with anxiety. Faces that had radiated hope now knitted with concern. "What is happening?" he asked, his voice barely rising above the clamor. The little girl's hand slipped from his as confusion swept through the circle. He felt her small absence, a reminder that connection could quickly falter, like a candle snuffed out by a sudden gust. Lucy stepped forward, her expression a mix of fear and determination. "Stay here," she said firmly, glancing back at the anxious crowd. She began moving toward the source of the commotion, her brow knitting in concern. The warmth of her presence was slipping away, and he felt the hollowness settle back into his chest. Around him, murmurs increased into a hushed frenzy, the community shifting with unease. He clenched his hands, fighting the urge to step into the chaos and follow Lucy. That was the instinct of a wolf, to protect its pack. But he wasn't that guy anymore. "Stay strong," the little girl whispered, nudging him gently as she returned to his side. Her soft voice provided a small flicker of comfort, grounding him against the roiling anxiety in the air. It struck him then their connection, however small, was enough to hold him steady, reminding him that he wasn't alone. Suddenly, another shout erupted. "Get away from him!" It was a man's voice, assertive and ringing with aggression. He caught a glimpse of an unfamiliar figure on the outskirts, a silhouette facing Lucy, arm raised in menace. Fear prickled along his skin. "Lucy!" He called out instinctively, his heart pounding louder than the chaos around him. He could feel the crowd's tension heightening, pulse quickening as people began to shift uneasily. Anxiety rippled through the group and he sensed something darker push against the light they had kindled together just moments before. The little girl gripped his hand tightly, her small fingers squeezing hard. "It'll be okay. She's brave," she chimed, but panic seeped into her tone as she turned to watch Lucy confront the threat. "Lucy, come back!" he shouted again, desperation sinking deep within him. What was happening? Why couldn't they just enjoy this moment together, basking in the warmth they had created? But Lucy didn't back down. He watched as she stood her ground, unwavering against the storm brewing around them. To his surprise, something within him began to ignite a feeling he hadn't felt in a long time. It wasn't just fear. It was a protective instinct, one that urged him forward. Moving instinctively, he stepped out into the open, a wave of voices following him, soft yet powerful. The community was uniting behind him, as if they recognized the need to confront whatever darkness sought to break them apart. Together, they formed a line of solidarity, knitting their hopes and courage into a shield. "What are you doing?" the man sneered, his voice dripping with disdain. The crowd gathered closer, bravery shining in their eyes. "I'm standing with her," he declared, the weight of his choice pressing against his chest. Uncertainty still flickered in the air, but with Lucy by his side and the little girl's hand safe in his grip, he felt the warmth of their collective strength pulse around him. As tension thrummed between them, he sensed that this moment would change everything. But just as he opened his mouth to speak again, ready to embrace the challenge, a sinister laugh erupted from the man. "You think you can shield yourselves from what's out there? You're living in a bubble that will burst in due time." His words hung in the air like an ominous cloud. Had they already started to lose their newfound sanctuary? The crowd around him didn't flinch, however. Instead, they stood resolute, hearts synchronized in defiance. Something inside him stirred. Maybe that shield wouldn't just be for show after all. Would they find the strength to hold their ground, or would darkness break through? Once more. The air was thick with tension. The man's laughter echoed around them, taunting, sneering. He seemed to relish in the unease he had created, feeding off the flickers of doubt that danced across the faces of the crowd. Yet, in that electric moment, something incredible happened. The little girl at his side tugged on his hand, her eyes wide but unwavering. "We can't let him win," she said softly, her voice cutting through the din. Her faith was like a beacon, illuminating the way forward. He turned to her, the innocence in her demeanor igniting a fire within him. "You're right," he breathed, feeling his resolve harden. "We won't back down. Not now." Lucy shifted closer to him, her steadfast gaze locked onto the stranger. "Together," she affirmed, her voice clear and strong, drawing strength from his own surge of courage. The onlookers had begun to murmur encouragement, rallying around the trio that had emerged as the front line. Faces that had once shown uncertainty now brimmed with newfound determination. The little girl's belief touched something deeper within the heart of the community. She was small, but her spirit radiated strength, like a sun blazing against the night. "Enough." The man barked, his confidence shaking ever so slightly. He was losing grip, just as they were finding theirs. In that moment, he felt an electric surge, a tide of collective will rising up. It wasn't just about him or Lucy anymore. It was about everyone who believed in what they were trying to build, a safe haven that could withstand the challenges of the world outside. The embers of connection ignited into a flame. "Who are you to threaten us?" he shouted, stepping forward, authority lacing his voice. "We stand together. You are outnumbered." His pulse raced as he gestured toward the crowd, a swarm of shoulders now squared, bodies inching forward in solidarity as if they stood against an unseen foe. The man's sneer faltered. He had expected fear, panic, he hadn't counted on unity, hadn't anticipated that they would mirror each other's bravery. "I'll tell you what this is," the man spat, but the edge in his voice faltered as he took a step back. "This is folly. You'll regret this." But before he could retreat completely, the little girl piped up once more, her voice bright and clear. "Regret is just another word for giving up." The collective gasp that spread through the crowd was palpable. The girl had spoken words that vibrated in their hearts, revealing an unshakable truth: they were stronger together. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, he saw the fissures in the man's facade deepen, cracks in his bravado. Anger twisted into uncertainty, and for a moment, he was just a man cornered by the strength of a community he underestimated. "Leave." Lucy's voice sliced through the air, firm and unwavering. "You're no match for us." And that was it. It was as though a thin veil of doom had lifted, giving way to a surge of collective spirit and resilience. They wouldn't be broken. Not today. As the man hesitated, confusion etched on his face, the crowd surged forward. He found himself swept along, not just by the tide of courage but the sheer belief that they could forge a new path. They were vulnerable but unyielding, a family forged in fire. But just then, a sharp crack echoed in the air, like a warning bell. A figure on the periphery raised a weapon, a stark reminder that danger was still very real. Freeze framed in that harrowing moment, a new chill filled the air, a reminder that the battle was only beginning. How far were they willing to go to protect their newfound light? Would they rise to the challenge, or would shadows creep back in? As the tension surged and fear sharpened in the air, Lucy and the community felt the weight of the moment. The woman with the weapon stood like a storm cloud, and the warmth they had built together began to fray at the edges. But Lucy's heart raced with determination. She couldn't let this moment of love and connection slip away. "Put it down," she shouted, her voice carried by both courage and anxiety. "You don't need to threaten us." The crowd turned toward her, their breaths held in unison, a bond pulsing through them. The woman, arms trembling, hesitated, eyes darting between the weapon in her grasp and the community before her, faces bright with unyielding resolve. "You think your kindness can shield you from real danger?" she yelled back, her voice wavering. "Yes." Lucy cried out, stepping closer, her small figure strong against the tide of doubt. "Kindness is our shield. We choose to protect one another." The community shifted, their expressions filled with a mix of hope and defiance, bolstered by Lucy's unwavering spirit. Even Mr. Thompson, standing tall beside her, took a step forward. "We all carry burdens," he spoke, his voice soothing yet firm. "You're not alone in this. We all have struggles. Let us help you find something better. The woman's grip loosened slightly. In her eyes, turmoil flickered, uncertainty battling with her own need for connection. He could feel it. She was suffering in her own way, too. It doesn't have to be this way, he added gently, echoing Lucy's sentiment. None of us have to fight. Together, we can find a better path. Please, let us in. An unspoken agreement rippled through the crowd as the warmth of solidarity washed over them. They were bonded by a shared desire for healing. I've been wrong, the woman admitted quietly, her defenses crumbling. I thought strength meant being alone, but her voice faltered, trembling like the weapon she held. I don't want to be afraid anymore. Tears welled in Lucy's eyes. Then don't be. Join us instead. We're strong together. A spark of hope ignited in the crowd, inflating their hearts with warmth. In that pivotal moment, the woman's weapon fell to the ground, clattering with finality, and the tension dissipated like mist lifting at dawn. Gasps echoed around the crowd as they leaned closer, ready to embrace this new path together. As relief washed over them, Lucy stepped forward until she stood before the woman. You can join us, she said, extending her hand in an invitation. The crowd moved back, creating space for this transformative moment, eyes wide with anticipation. Tentatively, the woman stepped forward, uncertainty vacillating in her gaze. Would she take that leap? With shaking breath, she reached out, taking Lucy's hand. The contact felt electric, a ripple of connection flowing through their joined palms, cementing trust in the face of fear. The crowd erupted in cheers, a wave of joy as they witnessed this beautiful act of courage. Laughter chased away the shadows, and Lucy looked up, heart swelling with pride. They had faced the storm together and come out stronger, learning to build bridges instead of walls. Suddenly, the angry man from earlier stepped back, eyes wide as he observed the shift. The warmth enveloped him, and he could feel the hope radiating from the community, a stark contrast to his own isolation. Would he too feel the change they had cultivated? Would he break free from his own hardened shell? As if reading his thoughts, Lucy turned to him. It's your turn. We're here to help you, too. You don't have to be alone. With a hesitant breath, he glanced at the people surrounding him, unyielding, brave, and willing to embrace a new beginning. At that moment, he realized it wasn't just about the past, it was about forging a new future together. With a heavy sigh, he stepped forward, a reluctant spark igniting hope. Maybe I do need help. The crowd embraced him, their love warming the once chilled air, welcoming him into their fold. The sense of community blossomed, illuminating Maplewood in a way they hadn't seen in years. Through tears of joy, Lucy watched as her once silent town found new life, embracing kindness and compassion with open arms. In that single day, they rebuilt their bonds, weaving a tapestry of connection brighter than all their past struggles. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in radiant hues of orange and purple, Lucy's heart swelled with gratitude. Families reunited, laughter filled the air, and unbreakable links formed around each member of the community. That day, in the small town of Maplewood, kindness conquered fear, and the seeds of love were planted in the hearts of everyone present. Now, more than ever, they understood, the power of one small act could uplift an entire community. As they celebrated this newfound connection, the echoes of doubt faded away, leaving only the promise of brighter days ahead. This is the moment to remember. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss any more of these incredible stories. Leave a like now to keep feeding the algorithm and spread that positivity. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this beautiful ending. Share your thoughts with us, we want to know. And don't wait not even one more second to share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is how we grow together. Please show your support for the channel.